All right, today is July 19th, Friday, July 19th, 2024, and we're in the studio doing a session. Guys, what's going on?
Good evening, T.
How we doing?
Yeah, been doing good. Happy to be here.
Excellent. We finally got Ryan in the house. We got
Yes.
Hello, everybody.
a full building.
So, all two viewers here. There's actually four of us. Just finally got the fourth.
If we were streaming live right now, we would probably have thousands to tens of thousands of people watching us and joining
Yeah.
us.
Well, we'll get when we make it big, we'll have people coming back and watching us. There'll be lots. They'll be looking for things to cancel us with, and So watch what you say. Even though we only got two viewers,
That's right.
Can we curse?
I believe so.
YouTube doesn't like it when we curse, but
I mean, as long as it's like not every word, I think that it's okay.
I think if you have
Yeah.
one, yeah.
It's in the
there.
category of not designed for children.
Yeah,
We don't have it in the age restricted category.
Yeah, so
We can
little
eventually
Timmy,
get
go
our
to
way
bed.
there, though. What'd you say?
That little Timmy, go to bed. Your parents don't want you watching this.
Yeah. Shut this off right now. If you're a kid listening to this, shut it off. It's not for you.
If you don't swear, I just can't trust you as a person because you're like withholding your true thoughts. So it's almost like everything you're saying is filtered, therefore I cannot trust you.
Agreed.
hmm
Nice.
Fuck yeah.
So
Are we coming through on the feed?
We are. Yeah. We're recording, both cams, so you guys are all on there.
we're perfect.
Yep. Ryan, you'll be able to see yourself on TV for the first time.
Shit.
Pretty sure we were on TV as kids.
We all were.
Well, I'm pretty sure me and Ryan were.
What? How was that?
Yeah,
Like,
explain.
Like,
Dave has such a good memory for this kind of stuff.
remember, because we were all in the same grade, right?
Mhm.
You know, don't you remember in sixth grade we had that dare graduation,
I do remember the.
and they
Dare
showed it on
TV?
TV.
No way.
They showed it on TV.
wow.
I spoke. Brian Oliver spoke. He had a good, or a guy we know spoke at Dare graduation. I spoke at Dare graduation. I said I was never gonna use drugs or alcohol. That program, from a public health perspective, was a massive failure. The folks that went through
Debatable.
Dare,
Just
no,
kidding, sorry.
objectively, sorry. Yeah, as brief introductions, I'm Ryan. I have a public health background, and the DARE program didn't actually reduce drug use. The folks that went through it used drugs at the same level as anybody else. So it was a good program for like police and elementary school student interaction and involvement.
That's a
but-
good thing.
Right, but as a public health strategy, it was a failure. And I remember once I got to junior high and people were using drugs, just being so fearful that cannabis could kill you.
With their Dare shirts on, they had them.
I found my medal, so yeah, I'll bring my Dare graduation medal at some
So
point.
where is this on TV? Was it on like the
you
news?
know, like how
Yeah,
the
where was it on TV?
so again probably only had two viewers, but like that public access
Oh,
channel, like
okay.
channel 6, it was on that.
So you've got it on VHS somewhere.
Somebody does. Somebody posted it to Facebook one time.
Really?
way.
Yeah,
Oh, then we
yeah.
could
Someone
probably get
posted it
it.
to Facebook.
Yeah, we need to
one
find
time,
that.
so
Somebody's got
it's out there.
one of our viewers find the DARE graduation ceremony from 6th grade.
Yeah, so I'll do that because I'll be viewing this later. So it'll be Dave and myself. It's up to
Probably.
one
So,
of us.
and as long as we're on the topic of elementary school, we all went to the same elementary school in 6th grade, right?
Weaver Lake Warriors.
I
Well,
think so.
In the running for
They're the
the naming
Warriors?
rights, but
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. That was my naming suggestion.
All right, so-
Oh,
he made it to
okay.
the finals. We were almost the Weaver Lake Warriors.
yeah, I
Sorry,
do remember
yes,
that. No, that's okay. All right, so and you
Good
attended that
memory.
school at the same
Yeah.
time, and I think I've asked you about this, but do you guys remember some big assembly in the gymnasium where they put together a time capsule and they
Yes.
buried it in the. They're going to bury it in the courtyard
Yes.
and open it 25 years later.
25 years.
thought
We're way
50.
past that.
Yes.
No, we're not. We
Yeah.
I thought there was a 50. I thought it was like 50.
No, I'm pretty sure it was 25, but I
or maybe
emailed,
2025.
I emailed the district about it, asking, "Hey, did you guys ever open this?" And they didn't know what I was talking about.
They didn't know. They
Yeah.
didn't even know like
Because
what
it's
it
different
was.
people now.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
so.
That's
But, like-
hilarious. It's just sitting down there.
Like,
What was in it? Do you know?
yeah,
Dave?
I do remember quite a bit of stuff that went in there.
What was in there?
So, do you remember, like, in 6th grade, we did that play? Yeah, that communication play.
It's incredible that you can remember this.
No,
stuff.
No.
communication play.
Yeah, like it talked about communication. Maybe it was 5th grade, either 5th grade or 6th grade. I'm a little fuzzy on that, but we did that play where it was like talking about communication, how it had advanced over the ages, and they had that like that computer in it, and
Oh, that does bring up
does that
something.
you know it had like a big Apple logo on the side, and it had lights and like it,
Yeah, a computer was like a part of the.
Yeah.
Like a character in it.
yeah, and I can even remember some of the songs from that thing. But anyway, our grade put that in the time capsule on a VHS tape. And who knows if it'll still play these days, but
Ooh.
Where the
Can you
hell are
di-
we gonna
was there
find
anything that I'm like excited to see?
no, I don't think so. I
In
if
the
I remember
capsule?
I remember correctly,
Like
most
a
of
GI
it
Joe or He-Man in the box.
if I remember correctly, the everything else was like people drawing pictures on poster boards and putting it in there. And then we had the VHS tape, and I think one other grade had something that wasn't a poster board thing, but I don't remember what it
I'm
is.
starting to see why
Was-
nobody knows about this thing.
Wait.
because there's nothing of value.
No,
Did you
I'm
guys?
remembering
Did you guys go there only in 6th grade?
fifth and sixth?
Fifth and sixth
Fifth
grade.
and sixth.
So I
Was
don't
it-
remember if we did this play in 5th
was
grade or
it-
6th grade. I think in 5th grade.
Because I almost remember like the first year I got there, I was in 2nd.
Yeah.
And it was like I think like we're since the first year of the school kind of thing, they're burying it and then gonna dig it up later.
Yeah, I thought it was
think
25
fifth
years.
Grade. I want to say Mr. Wallace.
Yeah,
Shout out to
I-
Mr. Wallace.
Yeah, you know
That
what? It
sounds
was
like a
5th grade.
Wallace idea.
I do remember pieces of this. I don't remember the play, but we had to record where we thought we would be doing when they dig this up. And I
Really?
was like,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, I don't remember
wanted-
that
What
part.
did you say?
I wanted to be an actor in Hollywood. which is
Oh.
I'm
very
pretty sure I
weird.
said I wanted to be in Florida. So
Oh, all right.
because hey, it was getting away from winter and it was warm down there. So
Well, you eventually did that.
I eventually
So
did
very
it
good.
just with a different state, but yeah. But I swear it was 25 years they were supposed to dig it up. And
we only graduated like 10 years ago. So
yeah,
how
so
was-
well, but this is an elementary school.
Shit.
So
Huh.
and like I said, I
Do you
Let's
know
hope they
where
won't.
it is? Can we go
Well,
dig it up?
if I could get access to like the courtyard, there's got to be like a plaque or a rock or
It was right in
Something.
The,
I go there and utilize that playground.
it's not in the playground though. Remember how the school had like a courtyard in the middle, so you can't just walk up to it. You had to go into the school and then go out into this courtyard.
That's where it was
What?
buried.
That's where I remember they said they were going to bury it. So there's got to be something there marking it, right? Like
That
a
doesn't ring
stone.
It's not ringing a bell where they buried it or when they're digging it up, but
Well,
hopefully they lost
It
yeah.
it.
definitely rings a bell to me, like the burying of it.
Yeah.
Yes. I
And the
remember.
like, I don't know. I think it was 25 years that they were supposed to pull it up in, but like the fact that I reached out and like no one even knew what I was talking about.
It doesn't surprise me. No
You
one
know?
knows. Yeah, it was like on a post-it note on some principal's computer, like his computer screen, and it just got like thrown away when
Yeah,
they left.
I don't
and the
know.
new
Like,
principal came
but
in.
you'd think like if you buried it somewhere, there'd be some sort of
They saved it on like
if there was
Don't
something
open
valuable in it, if they would have put like a $20 gold coin in it or something.
they should have put a Bitcoin in there back then.
dude.
Yeah.
That'd be
Yeah,
worth so much
it'd be
now.
worth
Right.
Tons of money.
Just one.
Yeah,
Bitcoin.
just one Bitcoin.
Just one
Just
Bitcoin.
toss
Back
it
then
in.
they were probably free.
Like, I don't know. Like, I swear it's buried in the courtyard. It should have been dug up by now. But
I do think it should have been dug up by now. But
Yeah.
yeah,
It was probably saved on like a floppy disk somewhere.
like,
They're like,
what
oh,
was it?
good.
5 1/4.
Eight and a
Then-
half.
then
No,
we
not
gotta
5 1/4.
we got to save it. So back it up. So we'll have this then. So we'll remember. And they stored it somewhere and then
Yeah.
got trashed.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I'd love to get into that courtyard and poke around and see if I can find like something indicating it's in there.
Who was the Dare officer? For
Officer, well,
Daryl
Durrett.
Winkleman.
I remember Durrett.
Durrett. Yes,
That
that
name.
sounds
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yep, it was
Different
Officer
for me
Durrett.
then. I know for sure. Daryl Winkleman. Officer Daryl Winkleman. Yep.
Sounds like a Serpico type.
You can look him up, and he comes up on Google.
Does he?
Yeah,
Still
I think he's
in the
retired.
Force? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yep. Well, fellas, what do we have cooking tonight? Burn?
On the agenda, we had.
You're just
I
good
don't
at
know.
organizing an agenda, so.
Yeah, we're trying to be all proper. and-
Nope, not good. Because I don't know. We had CrowdStrike and RNC.
Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
big thing to talk about. I think I want to talk about the thing that immediately affected us today. Me
Yeah.
at work, at my job.
Oh, it did affect you.
Places that I went today, shopping out and about. Yeah, functionality wasn't 100%.
There was a lot of people whose lives got disrupted by it.
Yep, I
this
lost out
thing.
on some profit because
Some
of
profit?
it. Yeah.
Yeah, I know one person who was supposed to fly home, and they decided that their flight got canceled, and they had to rent a car. They're probably on the road right now, coming back this way.
That's crazy. It affected flights.
Yeah, I read that it affected flights. I read that it affected banks. I read that it affected like a TV station in Australia.
It's
Flights
this
are
thing.
going
It's a
again, yeah.
so it's like an international. They say global IT
Global.
type thing event that affects the world.
Yeah, yeah, because so many big companies looked like they were using this software.
But what,
Yeah, so-
what is it
Yeah,
about
what
the
the
heck
is this
software
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, what's the
that
deal,
could
Dave?
cause an issue?
So
What's the start, middle, and finish of this situation?
yeah,
Like for the layperson.
so
yeah.
the software company, the software vendor, sent out an update to their software, and there was a problem with this update that caused Windows to do the blue screen of death. And when Windows tried to recover from that and reboot, it still, whatever this update was still causing a problem in that environment, so it couldn't boot back up. So all these computers that are running software for flights or banks or whatever can't boot up and run the software. So your computer's essentially bricked. You can't do anything with it. So no software can run on it. No, no, you can't get into
Wait,
it.
the computer's all bricked up. Osborne likes that.
Yeah.
He likes the idea of that.
So the computer is essentially, yeah, it can't get into Windows, and the software on it can't run. So
Why didn't it fuck with my Outlook and my MS Teams today? How come I had to work like a pleb all
yeah,
day
how come
today,
emails still work
and I
fine?
didn't get to just have the day off?
well, because if your company that you work for wasn't using that it wasn't using CrowdStrike, it wasn't affected.
We use Microsoft Office.
Yeah. So if you're using, like I said, the update came for CrowdStrike software. So if you don't have any CrowdStrike software on your computer, it wasn't affected. by it.
Two more questions. Two follow-up questions. How come this update isn't done on a Friday not done on a Friday afternoon after work hours to give the world 2 days on the weekend to catch up?
That is a good question. I've been seeing that question flying around all over the internet. Why did they do this on a Friday?
And I
You
did
should
copy it from
consult.
the internet.
You should consult for these companies because
No,
that is a really good
copied
idea.
it. I copied that question from
All
the
right.
internet.
Yeah, there's a term out there called read-only Fridays, where essentially you don't do deployments on Fridays because you got the weekend coming up and you don't want to start a bunch of chaos. So yeah, I don't know. That's been out there on the internet. Is why did they do this on a Friday?
Okay.
And I don't know. Only they can answer that.
What next question is does a company get to this point where they release an update that does this? Like theoretically, you would test it multiple times in house before releasing it publicly. Yeah.
Yeah, they should have done better testing.
Before they kick it to production. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really don't know like what their cycle is for developing and then quality assurance testing and then staging and things like that. But I mean, obviously something got missed.
And so now at this point, though, a lot of these computers now are kind of stuck in this like blue screen.
Yeah, this blue screen loop.
And
essentially.
so now they got to try to fix the software that then will allow the computers to get out of that blue screen loop.
Yeah, and so a fix is out there. They've
There's
put
a
out
workaround.
they put instructions on what to do. So it's just a lot of these. It's a manual effort in a lot of cases to do it. So if you've got non-IT people working remotely, you have to call them up and try to walk them through. Do this now. Do this now. Do this.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, they can't just press a button that solves it for everyone.
Right. It's
Yeah.
kind of like like doing tech support in the '90s when you didn't have any way to really get into someone's computer. You just had to, okay, what do you see on the screen? Okay, click this button, click that button.
So because it boots up and spins in, the boot up screen, does that mean that you can't ever get to the point, where IT people can log into somebody else's computer remotely and just do the fix themselves? Is that what you're saying when you're like, this is like
Right.
the 90s?
I mean, you have to-
era, they're going to have to do it themselves.
Do you guys ever remember, like, in high school when you'd boot up, you turn on a computer and it wouldn't boot, it would give you some kind of weird screen or
Oh,
error?
Blue screen,
definitely.
for
Yeah,
sure.
like that's kind of what's going on. So you couldn't get into, back then you turn it on and you get a black screen or a command prompt or something like that, and we couldn't get into Windows. That's kind of what's going on now.
That is a big deal if IT people can't just like remotely boot in and fix it.
Right?
Because they could be, most of the time, they could just be like, just let me log in, I'll fix it. You like get a cup of coffee while I fix your machine, and they're not gonna be able to do that now. They're gonna have to talk Peter through. This is how you get into safe mode.
I remember having to do this with like my parents a long time ago.
Oh
They'll have to
no,
FaceTime.
that sounds awful.
I'd get a phone call from my parents, and like in the '90s, and hey, well, the computer's doing this. Well, what did you do? And okay, well, do this. What do you see on the screen? And then I'm trying to describe. Okay, I want you to click on this icon, and well, I don't see it. And like I know it's there, and yeah, so there's
Times
it's-
1,000 employees for an
so it's like
organization.
going back in
sounds
time,
great.
guys.
I was going to say, I think, I wonder if there's some similarity because I've heard that perspective that like Gen Z, we're kind of elder millennials.
No, I'm Generation X.
No.
Yes,
When was your birthday?
1980.
Yeah, I know, but I thought, okay,
Generation X is 1965 through 1980.
we're culturally I think we're elder millennials. Gen X.
Gen
But
X,
the-
the youngest Gen X there is. One of the youngest.
And yeah, we're some of the
Well, there's an in between one too, Zennials.
There's Zennials,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
But
what.
Like 77 to 83, I think.
the Gen Zs today, that it's just they didn't have the experience of installing a modem or installing a RAM card or understanding how DOS works, prompts and things
Well-
like that. It's all just kind of app based. And I know, our parents don't understand technology in any way, shape, or form or troubleshooting for computers. I wonder if some of that skill and know-how is being lost with generations just
Oh, yeah.
slightly younger than ourselves.
I think so, because I've read stories about like how Generation Z and maybe even some of the, I guess, the tail end of the millennial generation, they're so used to just doing everything on a phone or an iPad, so that like you said, app based, and so kind of the concept of
underlying architecture,
Yeah.
just like knowing.
just isn't really there,
Pretty soon we won't know how to feed ourselves without an app.
right?
I mean, seriously, yeah. And then all of a sudden the app breaks. Can't do
DoorDash,
anything.
yeah.
Yeah, we can't do anything.
So
I can
yeah,
see it.
it's,
I can see that.
But I don't know if one of our viewers out of the two is Generation Z. Put in the comments. Are we off base? Or what are you and your friends like when you're using a computer? Is it weird to you, or do you have to troubleshoot it? What do you guys do?
Yeah, I suspect that so much of that kind of working knowledge of going from like a 2400 baud modem to installing 14.4, like
And then
You
one
just
day
had
you
to
got a
do that.
56K and you thought, this is gonna be the fastest thing in the world. And you get on and it dials up, and you're sitting there waiting for the stupid picture to load. And
But that's crazy because I mean, there wasn't even the web was in its infancy, so like you couldn't just pull up a YouTube video to learn how to configure something or where to go when something screws up.
You could maybe find like the old like BBSs, I think is what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Where
The BB what's?
BBS?
Okay.
I've heard of it. I was never on a BBS.
Yeah, like those. But I mean, you had to jump online, I think, to get those. So if you couldn't get online, yeah, I remember our very first computer before we even had internet, trying to troubleshoot things and and asking the neighbor how to do things. And
What was
it's
your
just
first computer?
our very first computer was a Packard Bell
That's
486.
Packard
Holy shit!
Bell.
Yeah.
Running Windows
Nice.
3.1 with a thing on top of it called Packard Bell Navigator that was supposed to make it easier to navigate.
I bet we had the same computer. 486, 66 megahertz.
No, ours was only 33.
Holy crap! All
In
right.
fact, I still have.
2400 baud modem.
Yeah, I think we had a 2400 baud modem, but it didn't work. I remember putting the 56K in there, and I remember like reading the directions in the modem, just freaking being so frustrated because I couldn't get the driver to work. I couldn't get to work, and finally I was at my wit's end. And I don't know. I figured it out eventually because I remember you had to type in AT on some test prompt, and if it gave back an OK, your modem was working. And hit the AT, and after like 58 times of not working, AT, and like, OK, I'm like, it works. And then I took the AOL floppy disk and put it in, and it's off to the races.
Because did you have a 5 1/4 on that?
Yeah.
Because the Packard Bell I had, it was the 3.5 inch.
We had a 3.5 inch, and we had the 5 1/4.
Holy crap!
Oh.
Yeah, we didn't have a
that's
CD-ROM
old.
on that thing.
Oh, I had a CD-ROM.
And
That
we
was
had
some
the-
hot tech.
We had
Oldest ones I had CD-ROM.
Was it like a 4x CD-ROM speed or?
Two, maybe?
Yeah,
2X?
maybe two.
If that. But I remember taking and like having to print. We had the dot matrix printer with the little paper on the side,
Oh
With
yeah,
the
I
holes.
remember that printer you guys had.
and that
Oh
thing.
my god.
I swear to God, it knew when you had a school project due the next day. Because if I wrote a paper and went to go print, that thing would jam up without fail. And it was such a disaster to try and tear all that paper out and feed it through and get it to line up.
They made those things for at-home use.
Oh, yeah.
Those ones with the
Yeah.
Yeah.
hole punch
so
paper on the side.
And it would never, even to get it line up so like your pages would print properly, it was a pain. I remember like at times, like, because you have the perforated things you could tear. Well, I'd be printing out my paper and like I'd have a big margin at the top and a big margin at the bottom,
Mm-hmm.
and like it would take like one page on 2 pages of papers. I remember like
Yeah.
days
Did
where
you
I was
have
like,
one too?
No,
like-
I just remember that printer they had.
yeah, and I
Remember
would like
the
literally be
squelching.
taking a scissors and cutting it so it would be like an 8.5 inch by 11, the proper paper size when I turned it in. And that thing, without fail, if I had a school project due the next day, that thing would jam up.
Thank goodness they forced us to do that. I mean, the skills that we gained from that are invaluable. We're still doing that today, still printing things out on paper with these really
Printers
really
these days aren't
ancient
much better.
printers. Yeah.
The damn ink
Ryan,
goes
you
You
print
wild.
need
paper?
to be resourceful at your workplace for how to print something when the printer is broken. I will say that
Well-
is like a real world skill that I have found useful.
And they make it
multiple
pretty
times.
easy now where they walks you through it step by step on a color screen. You open this, do this, and
Yeah, if you get like a multifunction
Mhm.
printer, yeah,
that's the way to go
those
now.
are slick.
You just pay a monthly price for the
Yeah.
service.
That's
You
a
know.
They're so
dead
slick.
industry. Everybody's going digital. No more printing, but I like it. I don't know if that makes me a dinosaur, but if I like have actual work, I want a printed hard copy.
Yeah, I don't
something
think
to
it
take
makes you a
along.
dinosaur, but
Mm.
then again, I am a dinosaur, so maybe.
Right.
So, but yeah,
But
I
I
don't
remember
know.
the squelching of those dot matrix printers.
Oh yeah.
And I remember the last time I saw
Oh.
in the wild, and I don't remember where it was. If it was a car rental place in the middle of nowhere, but just the squel. I was like, my God, nobody's upgraded. You're printing this off on a dot
That-
matrix
That's
printer.
so funny
The
that you say
airport's that way,
that
too.
frequency that sound hits
Yeah.
is crazy. it's so high and
We can put it in post.
Oh,
Right? You can get
what
that
a
squelchy.
don't do it. It's such a bad sound.
We'll
don't
keep
know
it at a
what
nice
it
low
is.
level for our listeners with sensitive hearing.
So, what would you guys rather listen to, that or the modem when you connected to the internet?
I'd rather listen to the printer by
Probably
far.
the modem. 'cause
You think
that goes
so?
away.
And there's something nostalgic about it. That was like AOL.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's one thing about the modem, but it's worse when you call a fax machine and you hear that on the phone.
Oh, yeah, right in your
That's
ear.
like way louder
Oh
and
my
worse. Yeah.
god!
Yeah,
right
that
in your ear.
sucks.
That's
Yeah.
so bad. That should be a lawsuit. Yeah.
You lost.
Yeah. I hit it. Oh, I accidentally gave you the fax number. Oh, great. Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
I know.
And you also like caused me
Yeah,
hearing
yeah.
damage. Thank you.
I figured that out when I called. You know, when people would call fax numbers, you could like hear it in your fax machine. You could like hear their voice.
Yeah.
On that end sometimes.
It would just be them screaming. Like,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
That's so funny that you say that because I have called people who have been like, "Oh, did I give you the fax machine number?" Like, I think you did.
Yeah. Yeah, fax seems so ancient now, but like at my job, it's just like you got to have the capabilities, like just in case, you know. And it's like backup sometimes. And there's all sorts of different customers that some still like to come right in, you know, and they want to see in person, and you know,
Yeah.
so hey,
Hospitals still use
still
pagers.
exists.
Like
Oh,
they have
yeah? Okay.
beepers
Yeah, you
because-
can take it. You can actually intercept those signals with a SDR, software-defined radio.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I guess from what I understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, like with a internet-based communication system, it can go down like with a pager. There's like an audit trail. It's verifiable whether or not the message was received. So if somebody needs to go like get paged to go into surgery, they know that it's been sent and confirmed.
I don't know. I don't know a lot about it. I don't know if it, but from my understanding is it kind of shoots out like a radio signal. Like, okay, you know, if you turn your radio on, you keep picking up the radio signal. Radio stations sending out broadcasting to wherever, and anyone with a radio can tune in. And the way I understand, pagers kind of work the same way. They come out over radio signals, and if you're set up to receive those pages, then you can get the signals. So there's something out there called software-defined radio, and you can actually get a program on your computer and look at the different frequencies. And if you get a pager frequency, there's a way you can actually get the signal and convert it back into text and see what it is. And yeah, what are you going to say?
I was just gonna ask, is there a way to confirm if somebody called themselves and paged themselves like you used to do at lunchtime in junior high?
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Sorry, I should have waited longer. On that.
No,
Maybe
but
I'll finish
wait.
your story. I just couldn't wait.
Okay.
That
So-
didn't happen.
but-
But I did have a pager in junior high.
So because he wanted to make sure that people knew he got paged.
Yeah. He'd
Okay.
He'd,
Nice.
He'd
Like,
like,
look-
I gotta go somewhere, guys.
Yeah.
And come
I'm
back
important.
Like,
Got my
"Son of a
beeper."
gun, who's paging
Yeah,
me
my
here,
beeper.
man?
It's a busy man.
So
He was
you said
hustling
you
hard
got a
back then.
background in public health, right?
Those are the earliest
You know a lot
DMs.
about HIPAA?
A little bit.
Because when I was taught how to do this with the software-defined radio, the guy giving the presentation told the class that those pager messages were not under HIPAA, which I thought was kind of weird. But then again, if they go out, anyone can really read them with this
It's-
software.
Interesting. HIPAA, it's a broad scope of a law. Essentially what it initially was is you can transfer like your insurance or something. In terms of clinical research, what we look at HIPAA for is signing a HIPAA authorization. What that says is, I'm just some idiot in the suburbs. If someone enrolls in a clinical trial and gets an investigational device implanted, they will sign a HIPAA authorization. And what that does, it authorizes people that otherwise have no business looking at personally identifying information, medical charts, and allows them to review and get access to your records. And it's to confirm, that nobody's growing an extra head that's being exposed to, an investigational molecule or an investigational device. but it's much broader than just the HIPAA identifiers, which are like, names, addresses, dates. But I hadn't heard that about like paging and interception, and if that could contain protected health information.
Well, 'cause-
but that's an interesting.
Yeah, because when I've seen like patient names
Mhm.
and sometimes conditions, and
Yeah, that would be a violation.
I would
for
think
sure.
so. But the guy giving the presentation said that this stuff wasn't protected by HIPAA, which I thought was weird.
Interesting.
All right, so this global ticket, this global IT ticket that's been placed to save the world, and all the IT people are coming together to fix it. Is this fixable? How long is it going to take to fix? Can it get worse?
It's fixable. I mean, anything with a computer is fixable, depending on how much research you're going to put on it.
How come they just can't go back to like their previous version prior to the update? Isn't that like something software companies can do?
Yeah. So, but kind of like the
Like release a new update that just goes back to the previous version.
yeah, software companies can do that. But again, like what we were talking about before, if the computer can't get into Windows, it can't.
I see. It's already
Right.
too late.
Right.
All
But
right, so and then how long?
Interesting.
it depends on the companies that are. I mean, because
What a
each
bad
company
error.
has got different.
So
IT
like it's gonna
departments,
yeah,
different
so it's gonna be like a
computers,
trickle
different-
down
Yeah. So
yeah type thing.
What an
Okay.
interesting error. It's like,
And
that
it's not gonna
seems
get
to
any
be
worse.
The one thing you'd want to avoid in your software update is causing that boot cycle in Windows.
right. So yeah, it's crazy how dependent the world has become on technology. That one company making a mistake can literally cause this much chaos across the globe.
I heard it described as Y2K if it actually impacted.
I saw that too.
This seems like more of an impact than Y2K.
Oh, yeah. Well, Y2K was hyped
So-
up so much.
Yeah.
I remember.
Well, we weren't as reliant on technology as we
Yeah,
are now.
yeah, but it was hyped up so much, and I remember like waking up on January, or I guess December 31st, 1999, in the morning, and rushing the TV to see, like, what's going on, because there was other parts of the world that had
Yeah,
crossed over before us.
nothing
and,
was happening.
And I'm watching some celebration in like China. I'm like, oh, they got power, and they got. Doesn't look like anything's wrong.
All right, well, we're gonna be taking a
What's-
break.
Is there, like, can I ask Dave,
All right,
or one more
last question.
Yeah, what is it? Do you think it's possible that it was like one person on a team who missed a line of code that's causing this, or do you think it was like a team of people that are responsible, or is it just like impossible to tell at this point?
Yeah, I I don't work there, so I mean, it could be all sorts of things, so it's tough to say. I don't know if the company will ever say exactly what it was, but it's tough to, it's tough to know.
Cool.
All right,
Just the reason why I ask is because if it did come down to one person just accidentally deleting some line, I just think that's just funny. I don't know. It's a unique power. Like the president's decisions don't often have a instant ripple effect to the magnification that this did.
Yeah.
all right, guys. We can't run this too long, so I'm gonna cut this off. We're gonna talk about. We can finish talking about the subject in a few minutes, and then we got another big subject to talk about. So we'll be back in about 30 seconds here, while we take a 5-minute break. That's how TV magic works.
Yeah.
We're gone for 30 seconds, but we get a 5-minute break.
K105 is looking for someone to win and spend $100,000. Listen for details. 5 listeners will win $100,000 each. The K105 $100,000 shopping spree.
All right.
Yeah, the timing of that.
Yeah, we're going. All right, guys, we're back from our break from our sponsor. Thanks for listening to that. Well, so there's a lot of information going around, like piecing this together, and it's like I don't want to jump to conclusions and think that I know it all at all, because I don't. I just know what I've been seeing and things like that.
We want a healthy amount of skepticism.
Yeah,
Which-
yep.
people today are sadly lacking
Yeah.
in.
Agreed.
Yep. Let's just slow down for a
No.
second. Let's gather some information. Let's breathe. It. I don't know. I think it was clear he got shot.
Is it?
Yeah.
Like, is the bullet what hit his ear? Because that's honestly a question I still have,
Yeah.
and I don't want to.
So the bullet was a small bullet, which was I believe was it confirmed it was a 22?
I thought it was a 223 or a 556.
Which are the okay? So the 5.56 I've heard too is a common guess.
AR-15s typically
those-
shoot 223s and 556.
Okay, and
But
are they those
5.56
skinny?
Is going to have a much more ballistic power to
Yeah.
it. So
Okay.
I heard it was a 223.
Okay,
Yeah.
because it was
It-
like a skinnier.
It's
bullet.
like one of those skinnier, longer
Mm-hmm.
rounds.
So you guys did see some sort of news source that confirmed he did get shot in the air.
Yeah.
See that facial expression.
Well, I mean, let me just
kind
to,
of an on the fence facial expression.
to preface, I think here's where I'm struggling with it. One, just off the top, no room for political violence in this country. Like
Amen.
we're a nation
100%
of
agree.
democracy. Full disclosure, I detest this man. I think he's the most vile, crooked individual ever. I don't understand it. That's not I don't care who anybody votes for. I hope that they vote and participate in the democratic process. I think some of the questions that come are the photo ops are insane.
Yeah,
Like
the
you couldn't
Pulitzer
design a
Prize
better
photos.
press photo opportunity in a laboratory. This man face down an assassin, throws his hands up in the air defiantly. I mean, the pictures
That's
are
movie writing level.
a campaign's dream. So I think it's
Reasonable
weird,
Question. It's a question that has to be asked, though.
but
That's a healthy level of skepticism.
fair enough. But yeah, the
Most people,
conspiracy.
if they had just gotten shot in the ear, would not be saying wait. They'd be running off the stage.
What I found interesting is if you listen to the audio, he's like, "Let me get my shoes. Let me get my shoes," and I'm like, "Well, why would he care so much about his shoes?" But then I thought, well, you know what? He literally just came millimeters away from death, and I have to think, if I just literally came millimeters away from death, would I be in my right mind too?
No,
You know?
everybody reacts so different.
Would I be?
Who knows
like,
how
yeah,
anybody
and
reacts
that's
to
cool.
that?
So I kind of think okay, well, that could just be him reacting because I almost died, and it could be adrenaline and psychological things your brain's doing, and
Anybody can have any opinion you want on him. I think in that moment, there's no more genuine moment. If you want to say Trump's a liar, is this or that, somebody getting shot and it hitting them, and then other bullets, he goes down, people are tackling him. I mean, he doesn't have some sort of scheme that he's drawn up in that moment that he's like, oh, now I'm going to do this because, this has been my plan. I knew that if this would happen, I would do this. And if he is, then you're giving him a hell of a lot of credit. He's quite a human being. If you think that he's capable of that, then it's either he's an idiot, or if he's capable of that, he's one of the most intelligent people that have ever lived. If you're
He's
saying
a
that he's
showman.
capable of doing that,
Now I'm not espousing this conspiracy theory thing at all, but he is an obligate showman. I think he's a failure, a liar, a criminal, but he understands showmanship.
Yeah.
He's spent some time in the wrestling circuits with the blood packs, things like that. I think a lot of the root of the conspiracy is he knows crowd work, things of that sort. I mean, what's to stop somebody a shot going off, having a blood?
well, then
capsule,
he's the
putting it up,
most
getting the photo
brilliant
op,
actor.
and winning.
Most brilliant actor of all time. There's never been anybody that's pulled off anything that more genuine
It's
in your life.
crazy too. It is when you see those animations of how close the bullet came. If those are accurate, then it's well, there's no way that this would be a conspiracy. That just
Yeah.
was way too close.
That's impossible to set up like that with a real bullet.
Yes.
That's
Because,
impossible.
You know,
Yes.
the tolerances for rifle barrels and things like that.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
wind.
You can't exactly.
So
you
just-
can't. Get
Trump
in
moving his head
with
around like
someone.
this.
It just goes back though to what Ping's saying about how his showmanship and that awareness kind of like works against him in terms of these conspiracy theories, because he did play it so well. It was so like you're saying.
And there'd
genuine.
be and there'd be nothing
you're
that
saying
he could have
genuine.
done and he not get scrutinized for it. He could have
Very
acted
true.
complete opposite and everybody'd be scrutinizing
No,
the
if
same
he
oh
would've- no.
yep, look he
If
did
he
yeah,
would've-
no.
no.
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
exactly.
Talk over me and
He's-
tell me that
he's-
my opinion doesn't mean anything.
Okay, no, sorry.
If he would have run off the stage after getting shot in the ear, if he just would have went and ran off the stage, I'd have been like, that makes sense. That's how a human being would react. Okay?
Sure.
Like, I wouldn't scrutinize that.
I
That's all I'm
I
saying.
no, I'm not saying you
Just
wouldn't,
a
but
second
people
ago, you
would.
said anybody would scrutinize. It would, no matter what he did.
So,
he
yep,
would get
people he would get
scrutinized.
scrutinized. He's the most scrutinized person on the planet by
If
far.
he just would have ran off the stage in fear,
But-
I wouldn't scrutinize that at all.
Well,
But
I
maybe-
think because he's a better leader than that, he's not going to run off like that.
Well,
That's
and
why he stood
I
on there.
don't
That's why.
disagree.
That's what I think.
And I don't disagree with that
Yeah.
whatsoever. I'm
So-
just saying I would not have scrutinized that as much as his action of, no, wait.
No, you
don't-
want to,
don't
but somebody
rush me
would have.
off the stage.
You're right,
I
yep.
want to pump my fists in front of people, even though I just got shot in
Yep.
the fucking ear.
That's I think what's like feeds into some of the nonsense is the optics are almost too perfect
Yeah.
at too good of a time, but
It's troubling and it's like racism and
he hasn't earned the benefit of the doubt for something like that. But I dismiss any political violence, conspiracy theories around this. I have to suspect that it was just an incredible quirk of fate, and this will probably cost him. I mean, it's a sympathetic look for this man. Like I've never had sympathy for this man, and you look at him and you're like, regardless of who you are and what you espouse, like, no political violence, absolutely not. That is not how we do shit in this country.
nice.
So I want to throw something out there. You guys are talking about like, why didn't he just run off the stage or something? You got to remember the Secret Service surrounded him and to protect him. And one of the things that makes me wonder about that is he might have been briefed not just before this speech, but before giving speeches in general. Like, hey, if you get shot at or if there's a threat that comes your way, this is how we want you to react. We want you to get down so we can get on top of you. So, maybe he was briefed to not run off the stage or briefed to act a certain way if he does notice a threat or starts getting shot at or something like that. Because you see him, he goes down, and he goes down behind that podium to kind of get some protection from it. Where if he were to run off the stage, he's wide open.
Yeah, we don't know what the instructions were. That's for
Right.
sure, and I think that's good speculation, because I mean they all run to the car right away, and then there's people waiting for them there, or something. Maybe they have some protocol. They got to check certain things. They got to have those other guys. That there was like army guys surrounding them or something. I don't know, army guys, but they're like wearing like camo,
the
and
Secret
stuff.
Service, swarmed him when he was on the stage, and
Yeah.
So I mean, there's probably protocols that they say or briefings or whatever training. Hey, if you see this threat happens, do this. If this other threat happens, do this.
It seems so like, man, what a scary job that would be. You have to throw yourself on somebody and could get shot in the face while you're like holding on to them. Like I thought, like, and especially too, like Trump, like the face is so exposed. All those Secret Service people probably got some vests on, right? But your face, it's just like, it's almost like when they run up when a president or candidate, former president, whatever, if that ever happens, they should have like this. I think they should have like this helmet. And they run up and they pop on them right away, and then they tackle them. So it's like if a bullet comes into the head, they're not going to get tagged by
Like
that.
a shield or something.
Yeah. They just need like this, like kind of like the helmets that they use in the NFL in training camp before they play. Those big old things. They just get that on them and then
I
tackle
have
them.
to
Just put it
suspect
on 'em.
that this is going to result in some review of security protocols.
I would hope so.
absolutely.
What in
Yeah,
the heck
so-
with the how is I heard on Barrero there was somebody who was up to date on the newest news stories, and apparently that building that the shooter was on was outside of the Secret Service perimeter, so it was under the assignment of the local police force to guard, and somebody from the local police force made contact with the shooter like 2 minutes before it happened, but somehow and the shooter pointed a gun at this police officer.
I heard that too.
And this reporter, their whole point was like, at that point immediately that police officer should have access to a channel that all police and Secret Service are on, and he just says, or she says, gun, gun, gun into
Or
it,
some sort of code word.
and that keeps the president gets him off stage immediately. How does that not happen?
Yeah.
Right, I don't understand that.
That's so inept.
And I've also heard that the guy pointed the gun at the cop.
Yeah,
And
right.
the cop, like, at that point...
That's
you
a
know,
crime.
well, at that point, the cop would be justified in pulling his gun out and shooting. And ending that threat.
excellent question.
So...
Instead of just like, oh, I'm just going to run away for like 2 minutes.
yeah, like, at a very minimum, it was described as, okay, pointed the gun to the officer and the officer retreated. Okay, chose to retreat. That's fine. But, yeah, then he should have been on the radio saying, we've got this situation over here, and there should have been some sort of protocol.
Immediately.
Like, hey, we
And
got
it should go like clockwork.
Yeah.
Like that's like their one function when they are guarding the president or any of these high profile targets at any of these public speeches. This isn't like a new thing.
Right,
Like
well,
some new wrinkle.
And I want to go back to what you said, like, well, this was outside the Secret Service perimeter.
That's
Why?
what I heard.
Why?
Should,
Like,
the
they-
perimeter
they're-
should be unlimited.
The building looks pretty close.
It's pretty close, and anyone with common
150
sense
yards.
would know that, hey, a gun can reach from that building to the stage, and it should be taken into consideration.
That sounds fishy to
You know,
me
so-
too. That's not in the Secret Service.
Like, they just say it's not in our
I
perimeter,
don't know
not our
anything about
problem.
Secret
What?
Service perimeter, but I'm just saying, like, yeah, I agree with you. That
Well,
does
and-
sound fishy.
I also heard somebody suggested, and of course the cop's probably not going to do this, but even if that cop that got that gun pointed would have just fired around into the dirt, just
Just
one
to
gunshot,
get the warning shot.
the crowd, and then
Exactly.
exactly, it would have thrown everything off, whatever.
Yeah.
But so that's just what seems fishy is that response, and I can also see though, people just being very inadequate,
Yeah.
ineptitude.
Just kind of like
You
asleep at
Think
the
about
wheel.
like anywhere you go
Thinking that it
nowadays,
wouldn't happen.
you go into just businesses and stuff too. It's just like a lot of places are not the same. A lot of places are stretched thin. A lot of people are stretched thin. It's
True, but I guess watching the response on the stage, I mean, just seeing that, again, pretty impressive work. I mean, they had this shooter neutralized almost
True.
instantly. So somebody had their eyes on him, but yeah, that was
Well,
sounds
they
like a big failure of.
said that what the
Huge failure.
I'd heard what the shooter got off 3 shots, 3 or 4, and then there was 8 total. So the Secret Service shot 5 times. I know we had heard like they always said it would take 1 shot to kill him, but I heard the Secret Service shot
they
a total
actually
of 5
shot-
times.
Oh, okay.
Well, I heard, like, after a few shots, he was still moving, so they shot
That,
again.
yeah, because and when you heard it in real time, it sounded like that. Like, oh, they got him, and then it was like a couple cleanup rounds, like just make sure, stop squirming.
So,
Yeah, crazy.
but also, we're
Why
focusing...
would we want to ask him any questions, right? Like, what was
Well,
his motive?
You
And-
gotta stop the
He
threat.
was
Yeah,
killing
yeah.
people. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
like the
Yeah.
the notion of like shoot to wound or something like that doesn't exist. I mean,
Mhm.
you have at least some.
Yeah,
It's too dangerous. Too dangerous.
Center mass. It's hard.
He already killed
yeah,
somebody.
You go for your
Target.
carry permit. That's what they teach you. Is center
Mhm.
mass.
So yeah, headshots.
gotta
are
shoot
not
till the
like
threat's
that
done.
thing. And
And and we're focusing on the president, which is the big story. But also, there was another person who lost their life that day, and another, I think, 1 or 2 that
Too, yeah.
got they were describing as critically injured. I don't know.
I think they took a
the-
ricochet bullet off of like part of the bleachers or something like that, and it bounced and I think the bullet split and I think it hit them both or something.
Is that what it was?
I think, but I don't know. It's so hard to know the full story right now. This
Yeah.
is just things that I've been hearing. I don't know. It's just things I've been hearing.
there was a video where you can see some woman go down before the crowd reacts. So I, again,
Oh,
this
yeah.
was immediately after in kind of the fog.
The one
of
that was
reading this
recording.
information. And somebody, so you could see behind him, and someone went down quicker than the rest of the surrounding crowd could respond and freak out. So, but that was in the immediate aftermath. I don't know. I mean, there's so much nonsense. Everybody's so wired to be so contrarian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. I like.
It's because
I'm a
it's
skeptic, but
Mhm.
I think this was just a weird quirk of fate, like the cosmos, or somebody is looking out for this guy for some
For
fucking
sure.
reason.
If that animation's accurate, he turns his head to that graph at like the last second.
I know.
yeah. It's not like his ears are sticking out like this.
Right.
You know, he's got normal old
Normally,
man
It
but-
would've
ears.
gone like right
you know,
through his
and it-
eyeball.
Yeah.
It would have like totally.
And if
killed
that
him.
slow mo, zoom in, grainy thing was accurate, where it shows like the hole, it was just like, yeah, just kind of like up in the top of his ear right here, and
That
just
I haven't
made a
seen.
little hole. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen
I
that
saw the
video
one with
either.
the
But,
bullet behind.
Again, I don't know
behind
if somebody made that thing. It's
Right.
hard to know.
Yeah, all of a sudden there's some company releasing this. Like, who the hell is this company?
No, I want to
like
say it was
a
the New
real
York Times
point?
that had the one with the bullet behind Trump's head that you could see
The trail.
Yes. Yep. But and then the shot kind of through the legs of the Secret Service where he's on the ground with the blood. He had showed that during the convention speech as well. And yeah, the optics, you couldn't create better optics in a lab.
Oh, his wherewithal was just
Mhm.
incredible. That was really like
Yeah, you gotta.
like,
He handled himself well in that situation.
the most badass reaction. Oh, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
That's like as good as you can handle it. That's like heroic, like WWE John Cena
Well,
level reaction.
And people who were sitting there probably, you see him get shot in the head and go down.
Yes.
He probably, again, yeah, a lot of people did probably think that was it, So, I knew by the time I saw it, I knew that it was, he got grazed by a bullet. I got a text, it was assassination attempt. He got grazed. So I knew that it wasn't, he didn't take him out. But if I would have seen, who knows, you see that live. Anybody see it live? No. You guys didn't see it live. Did you
No, I
see it
wouldn't.
without
No.
getting info
But
ahead
you
of
know
time?
what?
Or?
I was watching that speech on YouTube.
Oh.
It started buffering, and I got the little spinny thing, and I was like, oh, well, whatever. And I changed to something else, and so I was close to seeing it happen live, but yeah, the internet wasn't working well enough there. At least that stream wasn't working well enough, so I turned on to watch something else.
What should we talk about DNC now? We're like 20
RNC.
minutes on the
RNC.
Yeah, RNC. We're like 20 minutes on this.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're 18, 19 in almost. So yeah, we can talk about something a little lighter, yeah, than that. Yeah, that's.
Well, we don't have to.
No, I agree. I'd like to because I've been spending a lot of time on this, and we talk
So
about the fun
weird.
party instead. Not your grandfather's RNC event.
Yeah, so I'm kind of in the dark here, living under a rock.
You didn't watch any of it?
I haven't seen any of it
Oh,
yet. I'm meaning
wow,
to
okay.
jump on YouTube or something and watch some clips and stuff, but I've had a pretty busy week, so I just haven't had a chance to look at it.
Dude, Kid Rock,
Yeah.
he's out on stage.
Yep.
Is it smelling here? Because Trump is the I was like,
Wow.
Kid Rock, big names.
Yeah.
I actually was in Milwaukee this week.
American Badass.
You were there.
I didn't see any politicians. I had to stay
Secret Service kept you out.
well outside of downtown. Yeah, hotels. Courtyard Marriott by the airport in Milwaukee was over $2,000 a night. Like that's,
Oh.
I mean, it taxes their infrastructure. There's so many people showing up to there.
Oh
my
gosh.
colleague who I was
$2,000 a
working
night. Wow.
with ran into Lindsey Graham at her hotel.
Oh,
And
that's a big name.
better her than me. Yeah, I would have. I would have given him a piece of my mind. But yeah, I didn't see any politicians. I didn't see like a demilitarized zone. I was just in and out in a day and came back.
Did you
But,
watch any of it?
I did. I watched Trump's speech last night.
The
Hulkamania.
whole hour
I
and a half of
didn't-
it?
No, I went to bed after a while, but I didn't see Hulkamania. But
Missed
I
out
did
on
see
that.
Kid Rock was showing up.
Yeah. He's American
Kid
badass.
Rock.
Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
Did you see Hulkamania? You didn't
No,
see
but
it
I
live.
heard he.
Yeah.
He was fantastic. I can just speak to that because that was right when I tuned in, just in time to see him, and he cut the exact same promo he did like when he was Hulk Hogan in the late 80s. In other
Really?
words, like we're the good guy,
Yeah,
we're the
ripping-
baby face, we're the good guy, and we've had enough of the bad guy beating us down, and we're not gonna take it anymore.
Did
and
he
then-
rip his shirt?
Yeah.
'Cause that's what I remember Hulk Hogan for in the
And
80s.
he-
Always ripping his
He
shirt.
just replaced the words Hulkamania and Hulkamaniacs with Trumpamania and
Trumpites.
Trumpamaniacs.
Trumpites.
So he actually he ended it just like he did in the late 80s. It was like, what you gonna do
Oh,
when
wow.
Trumpamania runs wild on you? It was so good.
I'm gonna have to look this up. That
And
sounds awesome.
It's definitely worth watching. There's some good shorts on it, like a minute. I highly recommend because he was in top form. Like he's a very good public speaker performer.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say on this is, for the Make America Great Again brand, this is one of the best speakers they could have possibly had because he represents Americana and American nostalgia,
Yeah.
which is exactly what they're trying to associate their brand with. So I just thought he was a A+. The rest of it, not great. Trump especially went way, way too long. Like no one person should ever be speaking for over an hour. And I think he spoke an hour and a half.
Really? Okay.
One person. That's like he kept the East Coast up until Friday. He spoke until past midnight.
Well,
East Coast time.
Responsible people like
So-
Ryan went to bed on their bedtime and got to sleep.
One person should never be doing a 90-minute speech, but
But you can shut
Hulk
it off.
Hogan was
Or-
fantastic.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, and thankfully in today's age we can just pause it. Then it's not like. But yeah, you want to know exactly everything he says too before he's done. I can get that. That didn't add much. I'm just saying. Huh. So yeah, I don't know. I liked it. I thought that it was. I liked Hulk. I thought he was cool, and I don't know. I think like again, people are gonna be triggered by it somehow and think, oh, these are just a bunch of bigots, hateful racists, and everything. And it's just, to me, it just seemed like nothing but nice people saying nice things and having a good time. Are they all 100%? Are they all 100% honest, great people and stuff? No, and none of us are. But I'd rather have them saying that stuff than saying, other things.
He started good in terms of like having a different tone of speech, but he segued into his same old bullshit
Very
towards
much
the
so.
end.
Started out, like promising a little more empathetic. I mean, a healthy dose of showmanship, as he's.
Oh, he had it
known
in
for,
his
but,
hand, like just to have that guy's uniform on stage. What a brilliant stroke! And to like acknowledge that guy's uniform. Ryan, that was a great.
What
No,
what happened
I
with
thought
the
that
uniform
was over
thing?
the top. He had
Showmanship.
the gentleman that lost his life at the rally was a fire.
Yeah,
You thought
I
it was
did read-
bad.
I
You
read
thought it
something
was
about
bad,
that.
but what do you think it meant to his family? What's more important, the way you feel about it, or the guys,
yes,
the kids, the family that died?
From a performance perspective, like the whole like talking or walking around with the fire department uniform, it reminded me a little too much of the Clint Eastwood talking to the chair during the convention. Remember that? Was it
Sorry.
Obama, Romney? Clint Eastwood was on stage like addressing an empty chair in front of the convention, and everybody was just looking around.
But this
like,
is an empty chair. This was a uniform that this
it was
hero
a mannequin,
who just
right? I'm not
died
trying to
used
take
to wear.
away from
Yep.
this man's.
And
like
this
I said, I just
daughter
thought it
lost
felt
her
a little
dad.
contrived.
But at least has this moment to be able to have for the rest of her life of the president that they also do like and support and love, did that and honor their
Spoke
dad.
his name
I
to
mean,
millions of people.
Dude,
I thought that
you know?
the first part of his speech was the strongest. I thought when he like just talked about that guy basically. That was the best
he
part of
did
his speech.
Go back to classic kind of Trump-style politics. Yeah, it started out a little more promising, I think, than he finished, but eventually went to bed. So
But it definitely overall, I mean, and way more entertaining than again when we were growing up, and you'd think about like presidential conventions like that, like the party conventions, total snooze fest. At least these, like have a
This
lot
was
more
a-
life to it.
this
Live
was-
music. 81-year-old Lee Greenwood, he's for 81 years old, sounding great, looking great,
Nice.
playing great. I mean, you might not like his music, but he's 81 doing. I mean, good for
I'm
him.
just saying,
Oh, that
like the
sounds
RNC
money.
doesn't have the star power of
Really.
Dems. They had Kid Rock and Hulk Hogan.
Hulk
And-
Hogan.
yeah,
is
and
money.
Hogan. Yeah.
Dana White.
And
Yeah,
Dana White.
Dana
Yeah.
White's
Like,
big.
okay. I mean, the Dems.
Who
They got
do you want?
Beyonce.
Who are we
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
I don't care about
Beyonce.
any
The
of that.
degenerates.
Oh, okay.
They got the degenerates.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Like, I'm just saying,
I
they're
get it.
scraping the bottle of the bottom of the barrel for celebrity endorsements.
No,
is
do
all
you-
I'm saying.
So you don't agree with me when I say like you don't understand why Hulk Hogan was the perfect selection.
You caused me to think about that slightly
All
differently
right.
by saying the nostalgia pick, but I suspect that's just elder millennial stuff. I don't think there's anybody under the age of 30 that would give a shit or even know who that is aside from when he got canceled. You know, like
There's a lot of people who are over 30 though in the United States. There's like 100 million of them. So
true, but like
And is it the older the
I'm
demographic, the
just
more they
saying,
vote?
Like, if they had the celebrities to court the younger vote, I suspect they would roll them out, and we wouldn't have Kid Rock introducing
that's
Donald
fair.
Trump.
They're not focusing on grooming the children like the Democrats are.
It's time for the isn't it time for the adults to
Yeah.
run
Yeah.
drive the car? Or no, is this driving school for the children?
Old people vote pretty consistently.
Ice Spice. They got Ice Spice, I think is a real big one. And
Ice
Okay.
Spice.
yeah, that's
Who's your dream lineup like for the DNC?
I don't give a shit because I'm not gonna watch it anyway. I'm
Okay,
just saying
sorry.
they have options.
Okay.
Like there are, I mean, they could book a far wider diaspora of celebrities and entertainers.
Diaspora.
First I've ever heard that
than
word.
RNC could. Like,
and that's what
they
the
have
and that's what the Dems are looking for.
Cat
That's what they're shooting
Scratch
for. They're like,
Fever, they
We
have
want a
we,
Kid
diaspora.
Rock,
we want
they have
actors
Hulk
and actresses.
Hogan, they have who else is Clint Eastwood.
Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus. They got Tucker Carlson. Like,
You like Tucker Carlson, right?
they have.
Do you
Who else they got?
They got Don Trump Jr.
Oh,
And they
for
got
fuck's sake.
Eric Trump.
Don't they have?
They got Kaya Trump, Don Trump Jr.'s daughter, Donald Trump's granddaughter, who had her
I did
first
see
ever
her.
speech. She
That's
spoke in
crazy
front of
for
the
a
world in the
teenager.
RNC. Yeah, she did a great job. Talking about her Grandpa Trump. 17 years old, I believe they said.
Sounds right. Yep, she did a good job. That's a high spot. That's a lot of pressure to speak in that.
I think
Platform.
I'm glad that they brought on that girl versus Beyonce or Ice Spice. That's all I have to say.
Ice Spice sucks. I saw her in concert. She
Alright.
opened for Doja
That's all I
Cat.
can think of is those
Um,
types of people.
But Beyonce, like, I don't give a shit. I've never listened to a Beyonce record, but like, it doesn't get bigger than Beyonce. Like, that's
So if
star
she
power.
comes out
That's A-list.
For Biden, then that's like game over.
Yeah, so then
No,
you're like, I'm for
Taylor
sure
would
voting
be
for him.
game over. But
So that's
I'm
what
just saying, I
sways
don't
your
give a
vote.
shit
That's-
about the
yeah.
celebrities anyway. I'm just saying they
Thank
don't have-
you.
They don't have a deep bench of.
It's embarrassing if that's like, hey, we're gonna win these over because we got the celebrities. That's weird.
No, but it's.
We got the cool, fun ones. Sorry, we win. Sorry, no, I'm just kidding. Burn
I
chases
mean,
head.
Kid Rock.
I don't
Yeah,
think we have
like
the cool
we
fun
can
ones.
all.
Yeah,
just
Hulk
agree that
Hogan.
Kid Rock is the voice.
He
of
did
it.
great, but he's
Yeah.
not like
Yeah, and did you hear? He's-
cool and young anymore.
Does it smell
No.
in here? Because Donald Trump's the shit.
I didn't remember hearing him say that. But I also didn't. I don't think I listened to him talk. I just heard him do this little song for a little while.
Kid fucking Rock.
Why does it make you emotional about it? Why does it make
Yeah,
you
like-
like upset about it?
Yeah, like what's
I just
Yeah.
I
Like,
don't
getting you
take him
fired up about this.
seriously after like
Do you take Joe Biden seriously?
no.
Okay.
Like I'm not
Well, I was just
inspired by
curious.
Joe Biden.
Well,
like,
I was just
I-
asking.
I mean, I wish the RNC would run different candidates because I would love to not vote for the Democratic candidate just because they're not Trump.
The RNC had the unique position of coming on the heels of that assassination attempt that there was a lot more eyes on it than normally would.
Absolutely.
And I'm just asking you, do you think that do you have hopes that the DNC will give some sort of like excitement?
No,
Okay.
absolutely not. Like they've disappointed me my entire voting years. I mean,
Yeah.
Obama was 2008 was about as good as it got. I bought into the Kool-Aid at that time. I suspect you did as well.
Yeah.
Like there was a hope for change. He got his teeth kicked in by the Republicans every turn, and so sure, voted for him again in 2012. But it's like, who gives a shit at this point? Like,
If they're not
Because they
satisfying your
control the
vote, don't give it to
Congress.
them, man.
but what if it were, what if? I can't believe they haven't swapped him out yet. I mean, that to go back a little further to the previous news, the debate performance, atrocious, and the optics couldn't be more different between these two candidates that nobody fucking wants in the first place. There's not a person that's like, oh, I wish those two would run
Wasn't that
against.
crazy when they started talking about their golf
Like,
games?
the only difference is there's
Oh,
a
how
ton of people that want
disconnected
Trump
could
to
you
be the president.
possibly be? They're like arguing about golf scores.
But do
Yeah,
you
the
think-
only
do you
difference is
think-
that like half of America really want Trump to be president. The other half are just like, oh man, I really don't like Biden. I don't know what to do.
and it's not half. I mean, he's got about a third of the vote locked in. I mean, he inspires people. Don't understand it. Don't want to delve into it right now.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine what would cause somebody to like put a flag of this man up like on their pickup truck. Or
I
like,
can't
they're
imagine
so-
how somebody thinks that it's like that they're bad and that they're the bad side. I like watching the RNC. I watch it and I think, how could anybody not think that this is like the good side to be on? That's what I know 100%. Sorry, I kind of talked over a
I
little
was
bit.
gonna say, like, what if that? What about a late stage swap for like a Bernie Harris ticket?
Oh, Bernie's, I mean, just ripe for the picking. If they would have picked him post Obama, which the Democratic Party, if it was a legitimate organization, would have done, and we just would have kept rolling with populist candidates, it would be a different world. That's the world I want to live in, and I think I've told you
Do you think that would galvanize the Democratic base? Because right now it looks pretty grim for the Dems.
Does Bernie still have the power to galvanize? I don't know. I guess if anybody does, I think it'd be him. But
Like
he's
Gavin.
8 years past. I was already hearing he was too old back then,
Right.
and we're 8 years later. Like he's well in his 80s.
Well, we got a couple more minutes left here, guys. My little 2 cents on that is, I think if they focused more on something really pro them, like, hey, this is pro us. If they focused on that and not, no, don't vote for Trump, negative Trump, I think they'd have more things going for them. Dave?
No, I agree with you. You can't just say we're not this guy. You got to have something to draw people in, something that gets people fired up and excited.
I've definitely heard that before espoused amongst like progressives, is that they're actually sort of jealous of Republican people who support Trump because he stands for things and like gets them excited about certain issues, whereas what's there to get excited about? And from some Democratic candidate, like they don't get you excited about anything.
It's been their platform for my entire adult voting life. We're not them, but that's been enough. But I mean, at the same time, if they could run reasonable candidates that I could get behind, I would love to vote for a Republican. I think they're
Nice.
squandering. Maybe they're not squandering an opportunity because they seem to have this locked up. But
I mean, they got their most popular guy at the front right now. It'll be interesting, if he does win again, then we know for sure he's done. And even if he doesn't win, there's no way he's going to run again in another 4 years. So then at that point, yeah, you will get your wish granted. There'll be somebody else at least, and it'll be interesting to see what they're at.
KLXK would like to find out what Twin Cities children want for Christmas. We've set up the KLXK Classic Santa Wish Line for you to call 452-3287, 452-3287.